6.1 Famous War Quotations 1.
I came, I saw, I conquered, was said by Julius Caesar, 100 BC to 44 BC. He was a Roman general who sent the famous message Veni Vidi Vici to the Roman Senate in 47 BC after a great military victory in Asia Minor, now known as Turkey.
2.
Happiness lies in conquering one's enemies, in driving them in front of oneself, in taking their property, in savouring their despair, in outraging their wives and daughters. This was said by Genghis Khan, 1162 to 1227. He was the emperor and founder of the Mongol Empire. After his death, this became the largest empire in history.
3.
You shall show no mercy, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. This is from the Old Testament in the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 19, verse 21.
4.
Resist not evil, but whosoever shall strike thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other. This is from the New Testament in the Bible, Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, verse 38.
5.
War does not determine who is right, only who is left. Said by Bertrand Russell, 1872 to 1970. Russell was a British philosopher, mathematician, historian and pacifist. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1950.
6.
The tragedy of modern war is that the young men die fighting each other, instead of their real enemies back home in the capitals. Said by Edward Abbey, 1927 to 1989. Abbey was an American author, essayist and anarchist, noted for his advocacy of environmental issues.
7.
No one is born hating another person because of the colour of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. This was said by Nelson Mandela, 1918 to 2013. Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, politician and philanthropist. In 1962, he was arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. He served over 27 years in prison. He was finally released in 1990 following an international campaign. He then served as President of South Africa from 1994 to 1999.
8.
I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Said by Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955. He was a German-born physicist who developed the general theory of relativity. In 1921, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics.
9.
In war, truth is the first casualty. First said by Aeschylus, 525 BC to 456 BC. He was a Greek tragic dramatist. He is often described as the father of tragedy, being the first of the 3 ancient Greek tragedians whose plays are still read or performed, the others being Sophocles and Euripides.
10.
Mankind must put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. Said by John F. Kennedy, 1917 to 1963, the 35th President of the US. It was part of a speech to the United Nations General Assembly on the 25th of September 1961.
6.2 Structures which add emphasis. A.
I hate the waste of human life in war.
What I hate about war is the waste of human life.
The thing I hate about war is the waste of human life.
It's the waste of human life that I hate.
B.
War changes people's lives forever.
What war does is change people's lives forever.
The thing war does is change people's lives forever.
Something the war did was change people's lives forever.
6.3. How do they add emphasis? 1,
The thing I can't stand about Bruce is the way he's always so full of himself.
2,
It's his lack of self-awareness that amazes me.
3,
What you don't appreciate is how exhausting travelling is.
4,
Something that drives me mad is the number of security checks.
5,
The thing that upset me was the way the customs officer behaved.
6,
What I appreciated was the fact that all the nurses were so sympathetic.
7,
Something that really annoys me is the way you're always late.
8,
It's Peter who you should talk to.
6.4. Emphatic responses. 1,
What kind of holiday do you like?
One thing I like is touring historic sites.
2,
I like relaxing on a beach in the sun.
What I like doing is touring historic sites.
3,
You like adventure holidays, don't you?
No. Touring historic sites is what I like.
4,
You like going on cruises, don't you?
No, it's touring historic sites that I like.
5,
I know you hate touring holidays.
Well, actually, touring historic sites is something I like.
6,
You like cultural holidays, don't you?
Yes! There's nothing I like more than touring historic sites.
6.5. Structures which add emphasis. 2,
Never, in the field of human conflict, was so much owed by so many to so few.
Never have I seen such courage.
Rarely does one find such clear explanations.
Had it not been for the war, women would not have got the vote.
Finally, the war did end.
6.6. Listen and compare. 1,
Something I've never told you is that I'm actually a secret agent.
2,
What I can't stand about modern life is the number of choices you have to make.
3,
What always surprises me is the way we always seem to end up doing what you want to do.
4,
The thing that annoys me most is people who talk loudly into their mobiles in public places. Do they think it makes them look important?
5,
It's not me who wanted to come to this dump on holiday. Cheap it may be, but there's nothing to do.
6,
What the government should do is stop listening to focus groups and get on with governing.
7,
Never in my life have I been so pleased to see someone. Do you have a key to the front door?
8,
What I did after class yesterday was just go home and chill. I was shattered.
6.7. Pronunciation. Using stress to emphasize. 1,
Peter hasn't told anybody.
He told me.
2,
I hope you didn't tell Clara.
I didn't tell anyone.
3.
I invited Anna, but she isn't coming.
I told you she wouldn't.
4.
Who told Tim about it?
I've no idea. I didn't tell anyone.
5.
John won't like it when you tell him.
If I tell him.
6.
It's the worst film I've ever seen.
Tell me about it.
7.
He dumped me.
I told you he would.
8.
Have you heard the joke about the old man and his dog?
I told you it.
6.8. Oh, what a lovely war. Part 1.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, they're copping it down Railway Wood tonight.
No, not that. Listen. What is it? Singing, isn't it?
It's those Welsh bastards in the next trench.
That's Jerry, that is.
Yeah, it is Jerry. It's coming from over there.
Sing up, Jerry. Let's hear you. Oh, nice, wasn't it?
Tommy! Hello, Tommy!
Hey! They heard us. Hello?
Hey? Happy Christmas!
Oh! Happy Christmas! Hey! Yeah, it's Christmas!
.9 The Christmas Truce. Part 2.
That scene from the West End musical of the 1960s, Oh, What a Lovely War, is a pretty accurate illustration of the kind of thing that happened in several places on the Western Front on that Christmas Eve of 1914. Listen to the account of someone who was actually there. Graham Williams, a rifleman with the London Rifle Brigade, was on sentry duty that night.
On the stroke of 11 o'clock, which by German time was midnight, because they were now ahead of us, lights began to appear all along the German trenches. And then people started singing. They started singing Heilige Nacht, Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, Silent Night. So I thought, well, this is extraordinary. And I woke up all the other chaps, and all the other sentries must have done the same thing to come and see what was going on. And they sang this carol right through, and we responded with English Christmas carols, and they replied with German again. And we came to Come All Ye Faithful. They joined in singing that with us, and they're singing it in Latin, Adeste Fidelis.
So by the time you got to that carol, both sides were singing the same carol together?
Both singing the same carol together. Then after that, one of the Germans called out, "Come over and see us, Tommy, come over and see us." So I could speak German pretty fluently in those days. So I told back, I said, "No, you come over and see us." I said, "Nein, come and see Herr Fritz." And nobody did come that time, and eventually the lights all burnt out and quietened down and went on with the usual routine for the night. Next morning, I was asleep when I woke up. I found everyone was walking out into no man's land, meeting the Germans, talking to them, and it was a wonderful scene, couldn't believe it.
Further along the line, in the perfect weather, Private Harold Startin of the Old Contemptibles was enjoying that morning too. He couldn't speak any German, but that didn't stop him making friends.
We were Tommy to them, and they were all Fritz to us. If you'd met your brother, they couldn't have been more cordial towards you, or sharing their goodies with you. They were giving us cigars, not as big as your arm, and tobacco.
Were you frightened at first? Were you suspicious at all? Because these were people that you've been trained to hate, weren't they?
No, there was no hatred. We'd got no grudge against them. They'd got no grudge against us. See, we were the best of pals. Although we were there to kill one another. There were no two ways about that at all. They helped us bury our dead, and we've buried our dead with their dead. I've seen many a cross with a German name and number on, and a British name and number on, in death not divided.
Did you do other work during the truce as well? Was it just burying the dead, or were there other things you
There
got
were
done?
strengthening the trenches, borrowing their tools.
You actually borrowed German tools
We
to
borrowed
strengthen your
German
trenches?
tools. They'd lend it you, they'd come and help you strengthen your defences against them.
6.10 How the Truce Ended. Part 3.
Not only was the truce more extensive than anyone has realised before, it also lasted much longer than has been believed until now. In some areas, the war started up again on New Year's Day, but in the part of the line where Harold Startin was, the truce lasted a lot longer than that.
Ours went on for 6 weeks. You can read in the history books about Sir John French when he heard of it, he were all against it, but our truce went on for 6 weeks. The Württemberg regiment, they got relieved before we did, and they told us they thought it were the Prussian Guards going to relieve them, and if it was, we should hear 3 rifle shots at intervals. And if we only heard 3 shots, we should know it were the Prussian Guards that were opposite us then, and we'd got to keep down.
Because they would be fiercer than the Württembergers?
Yes.
Can you remember particular Germans that you spoke to? Over 6 weeks, you must have made friends.
I spoke to one. Otto comes from Stuttgart, as has been over to England to see me.
So you made friends during the truce and kept in touch after the war?
We made friends during the truce and friends after.
Goodbye. Soldier's Song from the 1914 to 1918 War.
Goodbye, goodbye. Wipe the tear, baby dear, from your eye. Though it's hard to part, I know. I'd be tickled to death to go. Don't cry, don't sigh. There's a silver lining in the sky. Bonsoir, au fin, cheerio, chin chin, au revoir, toodaloo, goodbye.
6.11 Expressions for agreeing and disagreeing. 1.
What colour do you call that?
It says pale sunlight on the tin.
Pale sunlight? It's more like dazzling daffodil. I can't wake up to that every morning. It'd give me a headache.
I suppose it is a bit, yellow. Oh dear. I just wanted a kind of sunny glow in our bedroom.
Don't worry. I'm sure we can find a happy medium. Let's get some of those little trial pots from the paint shop.
2.
We should have turned left there.
Look, who's driving this car? The sat-nav said right.
I know these streets better than any sat-nav.
You do not. The sat-nav is never wrong.
Huh, you don't believe that any more than I do.
Well, I am not turning round.
Okay. Have it your own way, but don't blame me if we're late.
3.
I haven't a clue who to vote for in the next election. They're all a load of...
But you've got to vote. We can't let the other lot in.
That's not how I see it. They're all as bad as each other.
I couldn't disagree more. Let the other lot in and taxes will rocket and prices will...
Come on, that happens with all of them. Let's just agree to disagree, shall we? You and I mustn't fall out over this.
4.
Put that thing down.
Huh?
You spend your life in front of a screen.
Hey, hang on a minute. Look who's talking.
You never go anywhere without your iPad and iPhone.
Yeah, but I'm not always checking them. You've lost the art of conversation.
I have not. I really take offence at that.
Well, I've been telling you about my day and you haven't heard a word.
Huh? Sorry, what did you say?
6.12 Writing for Talking. Life in Tudor England.
Something that has always dismayed me when studying history is the concentration on wars and battles. So, what I'd like to talk to you about today is the lives of ordinary folk in England about 500 years ago. My interest in this period stems from childhood, when I used to spend holidays in my aunt's beautiful old farmhouse in Sussex. It was built in 1490, when the Tudors ruled the country, and I would lie in bed at night and imagine what life must have been like then. However, when I started researching the period, I soon shed any romantic notions I had of it. In case you're not sure of your history, the Tudors ruled England from 1485 to 1603. The most famous examples of Tudor monarchs being Henry VIII and Elizabeth I. Towns then, other than London, were very small and overcrowded. The streets were narrow, cobbled and filthy, and very unhealthy. Open sewers carried the filth to the nearest river. Rats and flies thrived, spreading diseases such as typhus and plague. Few people lived beyond the age of 40, and children often died before they were 5. Now, as you might imagine, it was a different story for the rich. They lived in mansions in the countryside, with anything up to 150 servants. Tudor houses are easily recognisable because of their numerous tall chimneys needed for their many fires. These not only kept the vast rooms warm, but they also cooked the food for their huge feasts that would often consist of up to 10 courses, and include such meats as wild boar, venison, roast tongue, and fowl such as peacocks, blackbirds and sparrows. Now, 3/4 of the Tudor diet was made up of meat. Potatoes were not introduced until the reign of Elizabeth I. Honey was what was normally used to sweeten food. Sugar was rarely available and a sign of great wealth. However, the poor seldom got to eat meat or taste sugar. They lived mainly off vegetables, such as cabbage and turnips, with an occasional caught rabbit or fish. Now, as for education, poor children didn't attend school, but those from better-off families sometimes had tutors to teach reading and French. Boys were often sent to grammar schools, and here they would learn mainly Latin in classes of up to 60. The school day was a long one, from dawn to dusk. There were only 2 universities in Tudor England, Oxford and Cambridge, and some boys went to university at the age of 14. For entertainment, while the rich went hunting or enjoyed fencing or jousting contests, the poor watched bear fighting. And they also played a kind of football where they jumped on each other, a sport which frequently led to broken bones. But, of course, something which was enjoyed by people of all backgrounds was the theatre, especially the plays of a young playwright called William Shakespeare. There is so much more I could say about the Tudors. I find their day-to-day lives fascinating and much more interesting than the wars they fought. I hope that you have found it interesting too. If anyone has any questions, I'll be pleased to try and answer them.